welcome. My name is Craig Booth. I'm the founder and principal of Channel Force Incorporated. With me today, I have Brent Earlewine, who is the founder of Quantum Channels. And so super excited to have you here, Brent. If you want to give a little better introduction than what I just gave, fire away.
Happy to. Thanks for having me, Craig. Really appreciate it. So Brent Earlewine, founder and principal of Quantum Channels, really focused on upskilling, training, fractional leadership for channel leaders and channel teams.
Perfect. Well, let's dive into this. I'm going to share my screen, and we'll go through a couple of quick, PowerPoint slides. But obviously, welcome to the Channel Minute blog. Today's topic, all right, how to grow your partner revenue by 2x.
Near and dear to everybody's heart.
Exactly. So, all right. So Brent, I'm going to fire away some questions your way. What do revenue leaders need to do differently to generate partner-led revenue growth?
Very deep question. I'll start with my favorite near and dear to my heart answer, which is engaging with your partners on a business level. As channel leaders, as revenue leaders that generate sales through indirect routes to market, our teams, I think, have a tendency to forget that partners are really third-party independent businesses, and they're in it to make their business succeed. They're in it to make profit. So anytime that we're looking for them to generate more demand, generate more sales, it really comes down to a business level discussion and the ability of our teams, sales teams and channel teams, to engage with those business owners and principals and talk through at a business level what's really the market opportunity, what's the outcome that we're both trying to chase, or where are we finding mutually beneficial opportunities in the market that we both are chasing together. So whatever we're doing, right? So business planning to recruiting to supporting the relationship, it really needs to come down to how do we engage at a business level? How do we sit down, whiteboard it and talk about, all right, this is the opportunity we both see. This is the thing that we both want to go chase. And then how do we really define owners' actions and timelines to go chase it together for a mutually beneficial outcome? So short answer, certainly a lot more to that, if you will. But Craig, I guess I'd turn around and ask you the same question, right? So what's your perspective, or what do you see that you think revenue leaders need to do to really increase or double down on partner-led revenue?
Yeah, by the way, great. First of all, great answer. I'm in full support of the idea of having, structure, putting some plans together, creating mutually beneficial go-to-market strategies. So I'm all on board with that. I have a little bit of a different spin as well. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we have as a channel is we're operating on principles from the 1980s, but what we're seeing around us is just tremendous change and disruption within the markets, within the industries, everything from consumption models to buyers' journeys and how people are researching new technologies. But yet we're running an opportunistic fulfillment channel model, and we're expecting different results. So I know this is a little bit of a busy slide, but I often use this slide when I'm consulting. One of the key things that we do, if you look at this, we have the vendor solution, we have the partner in the middle, we have the market all the way to the right. That market development arc at the very top is the investment that the vendor is making to build awareness for their solutions with a target market. So it is the sales team, the SDRs, the marketing, all of those things. The little arrow moving from the market back to the partner community is the result of that market development. The idea is that if I develop the market, that the market will come back to the partner community, ask the partner if they can fulfill or add services around the solution that we're selling. Below that market development arc, the rest of this is really the channel model. And when you think about it, we recruit partners by coverage theory, meaning that we're recruiting a large group of partners. And in theory, the more partners I have, then the more active sellers I will have, and therefore the more sales that I'll create. The problem is that from the partner to the market, it's totally unstructured sales right now, meaning that it's a best effort. We're not equipping our partners with a recipe to go out and sell. So this model in and of itself is the foundation of probably 80 to 90% of the channel models that we have today. And it's what's, in my opinion, creating a lot of issues with revenue growth. So how do we solve that?
Yeah, I think you're calling out what I'd call as a huge gap, right? Which is, kind of the hope and pray. You sign a partner, you bring them on board, and then you sit there and wait for the deal registrations to come strolling in, right? So I'm always a big fan of that more structured, intelligent led approach on how do we engage with the partners and how do we have those conversations.
Yeah, spot on. And it really does go back to your answer before, which is, hey, we do this joint planning, but we really think through how we structure that last mile between the partner and the target audience. So from my perspective, there are kind of four things that we should be thinking about, four things we should be doing to change the trajectory of our revenue performance with our partners. So the first is having a structured coverage model. This is beyond just your normal target account planning process, but it really is recruiting partners. It really is aligning what we do around the coverage of accounts. How do I make sure that I'm getting the right, partner calling on the right account? And how do I help sort of structure that? How do I recruit partners to cover accounts that we don't have access to today? So structured coverage is the first thing. The second thing, and this is, I think, is super important, it's strategy enablement. We spend a lot of time on product enablement, but we do very little on how we train our partners to go out and sell our product and give them the best practices and the tools and the recipe for how we generate demand for our solution. And then the third is this structured demand creation. We typically don't align a prospecting process or resource a prospecting process with our partners. I think that's really important to align a structured go-to-market, a prospecting process that helps them identify opportunities early and equips them with the tools to be successful. And then the fourth thing in this whole equation is execution intelligence, understanding what our partners are doing so that we can help resource them better. If we make these four changes to the model that I just showed, we will create a partner revenue growth engine. So, Brent, I know I just went through a long process there. Give me one best practice every partner pro should consider adopting.
Again, probably a really good deep subject matter, but I'd start with anytime you're a channel team or a channel leader, most people default to managing the partners kind of partner by partner, right? So we take a look at where they're at inside of our programs, we take a look at where they're at maybe from a tier perspective or size and scope. But what typically is missing, and this is the best practice that I really focus on and have for multiple years, is treating and managing your partners as a portfolio of partners. So if you think of where those partners fall, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So you can stratify them and, identify them based on their profile by, tier level, by growth, not growth, decline, whatever the case may be. But when you start looking at your partners as an entire portfolio, as a cohesive unit, you really start to see the good stuff kind of fall out of that view. And by the good stuff, what I mean is then you start to move to a more proactive engagement and a proactive management on the partners that are really going to drive results for you and with you. Because it's really easy for individual territory channel teams, they may spend a lot of time with a partner that they have a good relationship with, but that may have nothing to do with whether that partner is actually going to grow with you or move the needle as you move forward. So when you look at it at a portfolio view or a meta level, you end up with a much deeper, much better understanding of who are the partners that are really going to be your racehorses as you move forward, and the ones that are going to drive revenue, drive growth for you, and the ones that are going to engage with you at a deep business level as well. So, Craig, I'd turn that around back to you as well. So, what's a solid best practice that every partner professional really should think about?
Yeah, I'll jump into mine in just a second. I just want to double down on yours. So I love the idea of having a really good structured territory plan at the channel account or partner account manager level. And the idea of placing where you're going to place your bets, who are the partners that are your racehorses, who are the ones that you need to help and evolve into that racehorse category, and then who are the ones that are just sort of reactive, right? So I think you're spot on that. My best practice is a little bit different, but I think it fits into this. So as you know, and you and I have had lots of great conversations over the past year. I'm all about active sellers, and I'm all about creating and managing active sellers. So I try and take the channel from a partnership view and actually take it one step deeper, which is understanding who my champions are from a seller perspective, and then developing those active sellers across the board. So I know this is a little bit of a busy slide here, but the secret, I think, to growing to 2x is really about transitioning those passive partners into active sellers. I think we've all heard the 80-20 rule probably a thousand times, but the idea that 20% of our partners are generating 80% of the revenue, that means we have a whole group of partners that at any given time are underperforming for what they could be performing within the channel. So if I can go in and say, look, let's look at who your active sellers are. Let's look at who the potential active sellers are, and we can turn those active sellers up, and I can shift that equation to 50-50, or maybe even flip it to 80-20. That's how we create 2x revenue growth. So my best kept secret, I think, in this creating the active seller approach is really the idea of strategy enablement. We move the center of our enablement away from a product, and we create strategies around how we sell those products, and we do that using this little pyramid approach right here. So most of the time we think of things in a linear approach. We have the vendor that is doing the marketing, and there's some co-market development that goes on between the partner community and the vendor, and then the selling is taking place at the partner level. And what I want to do is I want to create this pyramid approach that is not a linear approach, but it's all encompassing, and it's surrounding a strategy. And I want my partner doing all of this. So I want my partner helping me market. I want my partner helping me develop the market, and I want my partner taking that market development, those leads that we've generated, and I want them closing and selling those leads, and I want them doing that around a strategy. And the linkage to this is the channel, and the channel account manager's job now is to organize, educate, and equip partners to execute a strategy. So we move from this sort of product enablement checkbox activity into actual strategy enablement. And part of what you and I know we've talked about this multiple times, how we do this is we build sales plays, and we equip those partner sellers with sales plays, with campaigns, with tools that are a step-by-step recipe, a step-by-step process for how to execute that sales strategy. So that's my best practice as a whole. And I think we're coming to the end here. Any final comments? Any thoughts?
Yeah, I'll leave you with this. I mean, one of the things that I'd tease out of that as a really salient point is the focus on active sellers, right? So you can put together metrics, right? So if it's an individual territory channel account manager, looks like you had a target number on, here's a recommended best practice on number of active sellers you might have in a territory. What was interesting about that is those active sellers could be from 1 partner, 5 partners, 10 partners, 20 partners, right? So it's really more about the active sellers inside the whole partner community. And then the last thing that I'd tease out of that I think is really important, everybody thinks they default to, I need to recruit more partners, when in reality, the partners you already have, if you're recruiting and engaging and enabling and driving more active sellers inside the partner community, more than likely, you don't need to recruit more partners, right? You need to be shifting the focus on what you're engaging and who you're engaging in terms of active sellers on your behalf. And then, of course, 80-20 rule, right? So if you have 20 of your partners that are being effective for you, how do you increase that without necessarily adding more partners to the mix and doing some of that healthy kind of weeding and feeding and doubling down on the ones that are really engaging with you in a positive fashion? So, Craig, look, I'd leave you with this. One, thank you very much. Really appreciate the time and the discussion, and looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, you got it. And I'll echo that same thing, Brent. Really appreciate you taking the time to join me on the Channel Minute. Folks, this is our contact information. If you have any questions or you want to reach out to Brent, reach out to me. But we appreciate everybody joining the podcast. Thank you.
All right, thank you.